Hi everyone, Tess Thomas here from Clay County Historical and Arts Council. Guess what time it is? Let's go to jail. Today we're with Molly Seaver and she's going to give us a little tour of the Old Jail Museum, so stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Molly Seaver and this is the Old Jail Museum. I am what they call the Docent and Historical Interpreter. If you want to know what that is, that basically means I give the tours, I tell the stories. My favorite story started right here, my first story. An old man came in with a whole family, and we took the tour, and as most tours end right here. He was coming down the steps. Halfway down, I noticed he was in tears. I was kind of concerned, but he wanted to tell me and all the family that he had brought with him the story of when he was a little boy. When he was a little boy, both his parents were locked up here. His dad in the cells upstairs, his mom in the cells downstairs. He was halfway down the stairs. He would come on the weekends from the house where he was staying so that his family could have a conversation, his dad and his mom. Well, he wanted to tell his family that the reason why he became the good God-fearing Christian man that he was because the sheriff and his wife took an interest in him. Mrs. Kitchens would always have a hot biscuit waiting for him when he got here on Saturdays, but she always said, you know, there's that big old rolling pin in the kitchen. She had one just like that. But this is the story he wanted to share with his family. Since the original kitchen in the main part of the jail was taken out before we got the building, this was added on in 1990s. This is the old-time kitchen, what we call the pre-electric kitchen, since most people in this area did not get electricity till after the end of World War II. These rooms were originally the kitchen and dining room for the family, the sheriff's family, when he lived here. It's now our Cherokee room, with all of these artifacts were found during archaeological digs by local people and the folks at Western Carolina University. These are the masks that represent the 7 clans of the Cherokee people. There's the long hair, the wolf, the deer, the bird, the blue clan, and over here at the far end, the wild potato clan and the paint clan, and down here the bear clan. These all represent the different families.
Can you tell us a little bit about where we got those masks? Where did they come from? Who made them and how did we acquire them?
These were all bought by the Historical and Arts Council. These were all made by artists up on the Cherokee Indian reservations for us.
Wow, that's amazing.
This is our special exhibits room. Every year we change out for a different set of artists because we have so many artists and creative people in this area. This year we got Susie Delorier from the John C. Campbell Folk School to come and teach a watercolor class. And their theme this year was the Barns of Clay County. And these are the carvings by Carolyn Anderson from the John C. Campbell Folk School. Back in 1999, the family of Dr. Paul Killian donated this office to us. We went out to where it stood out on the road going out toward the dam, took the building apart, brought it back over here and reconstructed it. So what you see when you come in here, this is all as it was The only thing that we didn't have to do was the ceiling. That had been damaged, but we did paint it the correct color, paint blue. But in here we also have Dr. O'Neill's radio, Dr. Paget's electrocardiogram, and what I love most is Dr. Killian's logbooks. I often have people come in here who had family here in the 1930s and were able to find their records in his logbooks. Yeah.
1937, 1938.
And if you need to make a phone call, this is our original telephone switchboard brought to us in 1916 by James Penland. This was in use until 1950. And this time we will be having two of Jim Penland's grandchildren come and talk about him and his phone system. And now we're in the textile room. You've seen the fabulous feed sacks. And this is our loom. This is from the 1940s and was given to us. We had someone come from the John C. Campbell Folk School who helped us put this back together and in working order. Thank you for stopping in today to the Clay County Historical and Arts Council Old Jail Museum, 21 Davis Loop, right off the square in Hayesville, North Carolina. Welcome to the Clay County Historical and Arts Council Old Jail Museum. Built back in 1912, served as the jail up until 1972. So we still have folks that come by that spend a little time here. Now we have everything from the Cherokee room with artifacts from local archaeological digs. We have an old-time kitchen, the original doctor's office for Clay County. We also have a sewing room. We also have the original jail cells and a moonshine still donated by the local sheriff's office. Now, I must warn you, if you have kids, yes, they will like it. Yes, they will want to stay. I hope you have a good time here at the jail today. Now we'll be heading upstairs to see not only the jail cells, but some of the rooms where the sheriff and his family lived. Now we can look around upstairs. These two rooms were originally the sheriff's family bedrooms. The room behind me was Miss Janet Kitchens Powell's bedroom when she lived here. Her father was Mr. Kitchens. He was one of the early sheriffs here in Clay County. The loom downstairs was from 1943. This loom is from 1843. For many years, it sat up here behind the stairs in pieces. We finally recently got a woodworker and a weaver from the John C. Campbell Folk School together to put it back together and in working order. This coverlet right here was made on this particular loom. Now these three items are vintage children's clothing from the 1800s. Often you see clothes like this as christening gowns. Now the chair in the corner is very special to us. It's from the Cherry family. If you'll notice the photograph in the corner, and you'll notice on the left-hand side, you will see that particular rocking chair. The gentleman sitting in the chair in that photograph is Jim Cherry, one of the very first sheriffs here in Clay County. The photograph is from the 1800s. We have quite a few of the old photographs. The photographs of businesses like Boyce Hardware, Ritter Lumber, and also the Pass Hotel. We were very lucky in this area. We had a large lumber industry, so that we had 2 large hotels, a rooming house, and a train. We also have many pictures of the different schools here in Clay County. At one point in time, we had 21 different schools. We had a small one-room schoolhouse for every single community here, because you had to be able to walk to school. Now in this, one of my favorite pictures is the very top picture, and in the right-hand window to the bottom right pane, you'll see a little boy with an X on the top of his head. That is Dr. Paul Killian when he went to school here in Clay County. Of course, back in the day, there were many buildings around the square. These buildings were the Anderson home place, where they had a lawyer's office in the bottom and the family lived above. I talk a lot about old family photographs in the museum. This is the old Hagler homestead. They had a little bit more money, but this family photograph is famous for the little girl. We call her the ghost girl. Of course, photographs in this time period, if you moved, you often got this ghostly effect. Back in 2017, we, with some help from several different people, put together the African American Heritage display. Not only do we cover religion, education, and slavery. This bench belonged in the original colored school here in Hayesville. Back then, we may have said that we were not segregated, but many of the students here, if they wanted to graduate from high school, they could only go through 10th grade in Clay County. Then they would have to live in a boarding house in Asheville or Gainesville, Georgia for 2 years while they got their high school diploma. Back in 1855, Henry Wister Tate was born into slavery here in Clay County. Most people will tell you they don't think that we had slaves here. Yes, we did, just not as many because we didn't have the big farms. This picture of the slave cabin that he was raised in came to me when I worked at the local library. At that point in time, we didn't know how to trace the family. Years go by, and Ancestry comes along, and we are able to trace the family. Here is a man born into slavery in Clay County who went on to Tennessee and to Ohio. Not only did he go to school, he went to college. He also graduated, became a teacher, a preacher, and a theologian in the Methodist Episcopal Church. You'll notice the doorway here. This was originally a solid wall. There was no connection between the children and the prisoners. You'll also notice the thickness of the walls. These walls were built thick because it has to hold up the weight of the jail cells right here. Along this wall of the jail cells, you'll see pictures of the past sheriffs of Clay County going back to the 1860s. These 9 right here are the sheriffs who were sheriffs here at this jail. And this gentleman right here, John White, his son was even born in this building. And I do let people know that if you do wish to escape, there is an escape hole. Just look up above your heads in the ceiling and you'll see a hole. I am told that that was made by Uncle Dave Ledford. He and some of his buddies escaped. I've heard 2 different stories. One, that he and his buddies were caught 2 days later because they just went home. And the other story, that the guy made it all the way to Colorado and was never caught. Yeah, I had the guy come in here last week, and he looks up at that and he goes, "Yeah, my Uncle Dave Ledford made that hole." He was showing it to his grandchildren. But I tell people that's the fun part of working here, is you never know who'll show up and tell you some wild, crazy story. Many people question this box right here. My favorite question, the first question I ever got working here is this where people are electrocuted? Actually, it's the locking mechanisms for the cells. This one locks this door right here, whereas this one right here locks the cell doors themselves. And of course, everybody wants to see the jail cells. Inside here, you can see the brackets on the walls. Those are from the original bunks. I know it's a small space, but it held 4 prisoners. Everybody notices the commode. Of course, in the original building, there was no water or electricity. So when they put in the commode, they had to put the pipes underneath the cement. This is the part that disgusts the little children the most. This bathtub used to sit right on the other side of these bars, and it was filled every Saturday night. And then the prisoners got to take their baths, all sharing the same water. And of course, this is our moonshine still. Many of the prisoners here were here because of being moonshiners. This particular still was donated to us by the Clay County Sheriff's Office back in the 1980s. And one of the many sad stories that I hear from people who come here, who've had family staying here, Mr. Ras Stamey, Erastus Alonso, was one of the many moonshiners here in this area. He spent a lot of time in this jail, so much so that his family comes and visits us every year, because this is where their memories of their dad, their granddad, are the closest. And luckily for you, after your stay in the jail, you get to leave. And these are the prisoner's steps.